Today we'll be talking about agents and patients. Now I know what you're thinking. When we say agent, we're not talking about...
I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
And when we say patient, we're not thinking...
Watch your back.
Patient is a 10-year-old female. She has bradycardia with hypovolemic shock.
Because here's the thing. When linguists talk about agents and patients, they're talking about situations where one party does something to another party and causes it to be affected in some sort of way. When you have one guy punching another guy, or tossing another guy, or stabbing another guy. The guy that does the punching, that is the agent. The guy that gets attacked, that is the patient. The agent performs an action that causes the patient to undergo a change of state. Here's an example. I broke the teacup. 我打破了茶杯. I, the party that's doing the action of breaking, would be the agent. 打破, breaking, would be the action. And the teacup itself, 茶杯, would be the patient. The 茶杯, the teacup, goes from being whole to being broken, so that is the change of state that it undergoes. The agent performs an action that causes the patient to undergo a change of state. 我打破了茶杯. I broke the teacup. Now we're talking about agents and patients because these two concepts are essential for understanding one of the most important constructions in Mandarin Chinese, and that is the ba construction. We'll be explaining the ba construction in two parts. First, the ba construction moves things around in a sentence. So we're going to ask, what gets moved around? And second, when the ba construction moves things around, what does it mean for ba to move things around? Before we dive in, remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you'll be the first to know when I release another video. First, what gets moved around? Consider the sentence, I renewed my license. I renewed my license. This is a typical SVO sentence, subject, verb, object, one of the most common structures in the languages of the world. If you look at the sentence, I renewed my license, I would be the agent, the person performing the action. Renew is the action, and the patient would be the license, the thing that got renewed by me. So I renewed my license, I would be the agent, renew would be the action, and my license would be the patient. Now I can also say I got my license reviewed. And when I say that, what I'm doing is I'm introducing a control verb, got. This got gets placed after the agent I, so I got. And once got is placed there, something happens to the rest of the sentence. The patient, my license, gets moved before the action renewed. So I get to say, I got my license renewed. The word order becomes first I, the agent, and then got, and then afterwards we have the patient first, my license, and the action renewed appears at the very end. So the word order is changed when got is introduced. Other examples like this include, I published my article. I is the agent, published is the action, and my article would be the patient. If I introduce got, I got my article published. Agent, got, patient, and then action. Or I removed my name from the blacklist. I removed my name. Agent, action, patient. Now if I were to introduce got, I got my name removed from the blacklist. Here you have agent, got, and then my name, which is the patient, and the action removed at the very end. I remove my name, turning into I got my name removed. Now, ba in Chinese behaves like got in English. Once ba is introduced after the agent or the subject of the sentence, it affects a word order change. That is, when you have a sentence that used to be verb, object, or action, patient, once ba is introduced, the patient or the object gets moved before the verb or the action. So once ba is introduced, the sentence goes from agent, action, patient to agent, ba, patient, action. Let's look at an example. Let's take the sentence 我打破了茶杯. 我, I, that would be the agent, 打破, that would be the action, to break, and then 茶杯, teacup, that would be the patient. So agent, action, patient, 我打破了茶杯. If we were to introduce 把 into the sentence, the 把 gets introduced after the agent, so 我把. And once the 把 is there, the patient gets moved up before the action. So 我把茶杯, and then the action to break, 打破, occurs at the very end. So the sentence becomes 我把茶杯打破了. The sentence goes from 我打破了茶杯, agent, action, patient, to 我把茶杯打破了, agent, 把, patient, and then action. That is how things get moved around when you introduce 把 into a sentence. Now the obvious question here is, what does introducing a control verb like 把 or got into the sentence and switching up the word order do to the meaning of the sentence? And here the answer is different in English than it is in Chinese. In English, when you introduce a control verb like got or had, it alters the degree of agency. If you compare the sentences, I killed my friend, I had my friend killed, I got my friend killed, they don't all mean the same thing. I killed my friend means I did the actual killing. I had my friend killed implies that I wasn't the one who did the actual killing, but I was the mastermind and I ordered somebody to kill the friend. I got my friend killed could include another situation where it was totally unintentional. I did something, and that something that I did got the friend killed. I didn't intend for it to happen, but it happened. So there's a difference in the degree of agency when you compare I killed my friend, I had my friend killed, and I got my friend killed. This is in English. In Chinese, when you introduce ba, there is no difference in terms of agency. So you could say 我杀了我的朋友 or 我把我的朋友杀了. And in both cases, it's always me that is doing the killing. So introducing the ba, unlike had or got in English, doesn't shift the responsibility to somebody else. So if you were to compare Chinese ba with English got or had, you could say that they are structurally similar, but semantically different. Let's look at another example. In Chinese, you could say 我打破了茶杯 or 我把茶杯打破了 for I broke the teacup. Notice how I said I broke the teacup. Because in order to use the ba construction, the teacup that we're talking about has to be one that is specific. The person that I'm speaking to has to know exactly which teacup I am referring to. It's only when you have a situation like that, when we both know which teacup we're talking about, that you're able to use the ba construction. The patient has to be specific. When the patient is not specific, I could say something like 我打破了一个茶杯, I broke a teacup, but you cannot switch that sentence into the ba construction. You cannot say 我把一个茶杯打破了, because the patient's not specific. And when the patient's not specific, the ba construction does not apply. So there's another rule for you. When you're using the ba construction, the patient has to be a specific entity that both the speaker and the listener are aware of. And one more thing. Since ba here is used to indicate a change of state, this has to be made clear in the verb part, the action part of the sentence. That is to say, you can't just have a bare verb. There has to be a complement or suffix to indicate that after the action is performed, there is a change in the state of the patient. So for example, if I punch somebody, I can't just say 我把他打. There has to be something after the 打, a complement of sorts. 我把他打倒, so that I hit him and he fell. Or 我把他打伤, I hit him and he got hurt. Or 我把他打死, I hit him and he died. Okay, there has to be a complement or a suffix 了 in order for the ba construction to be valid. So to recap, so far what we've said is that what the ba construction does is when it is inserted after the agent, it effects a reversal of order between the verb and the object. That is the patient and the action. These two get switched around. That is how ba moves things around. And when ba is used, it indicates a change of state, so the verb cannot be there. It needs to have a suffix or complement. And finally, the patient in the sentence, when you use a ba construction, has to be specific. It cannot be a general notion. In addition to change of state, the ba construction can also be used to indicate a change of location. That is, when I move something from one place to another, I have to use the ba construction to express this. For example, I move the chair into my room. 我把椅子搬到我的房间. Or I put the book on the bookshelf. 我把书放在书架上. Okay, whenever you have a sentence that describes somebody moving an object from one place to another, you are forced to use the ba construction. Now, unlike change of state, where you have a choice between using ba or not using ba, either one is okay. When it comes to change of location, there is only one choice, and that is you have to use ba. You cannot use the non-ba option. So, for example, I cannot say 我放这本书在书架上 for I put the book on the bookshelf. I have to say 我把这本书放在书架上. Okay, when it comes to change of location, the ba construction is mandatory. So far, I have described only what linguists call the canonical uses of ba, the types of ba uses that most speakers of Mandarin use on a day-to-day basis. What I have not included are the non-canonical uses of ba, that is, more creative and more rare uses that you see occasionally that don't always abide by these rules. I will save that for another occasion. For now, all you need to know are these more canonical uses. So for now, all we need to know is that the ba construction can be used to describe change of state and change of location. For change of state, you have the option of using ba or not using ba. For change of location, you have to use ba. There is no other option. And how do we use it? We insert ba after the agent of the sentence, and once the ba is inserted, the patient and the action get switched around. That is to say, the word order in the sentence becomes agent, ba, patient, and then action. The action gets left at the very end of the sentence when ba is introduced. Also keep in mind that when you use the ba construction, the patient of the sentence has to be specific. And there's the ba construction for you. 这样我就把ba的用法讲完了. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you'll be the first to know when I release my next video. I'll see you next time.